Hey Jacob, how are you this week?
Hello, I'm good. I'm good. I am still decompressing from the podcast show, but I'm good.
It was good. It was good. Meeting many podcasters, many people that use Alitu, many people just making amazing stuff. It's always inspiring to see.
Yeah, really fun.
So what are we talking about this week? Are we talking speaking skills?
Yeah, so I brought this up to you just earlier on today, and I listening back to myself in the last episode, and I've thought it before. My words clump together, and I think it's something to do with the actual architecture of my mouth, where I'm not enunciating, right? So I wondered if you could help me with that.
Okay, yeah, this is an interesting one. I've picked up a lot on this over the years. I'm certainly still no expert here, but I have worked with like voice coaches. I worked with an opera singer once on voice
That's
coaching,
cool.
which was really cool. So I can tell you a bit about that. And it always seemed to come down to three different areas, really. You've got the vocal warm-ups, so how to make your voice sound good and resonant, and the words come out well as well. So that's a big part of it, like kind of just making everything work that way. But then enunciation, there's a bit around enunciation that's kind of separate to that, almost like how you think about speaking too. So the stuff around warm up, I think that helps your voice sound great and helps you say your words well. But then there's another thing around how you think about speaking while you're in the actual content too. So we could go into that as a second part. And then the final bit's actually around like eating and drinking. There's always a bit around, if you ever talk to people about how to sound good, how to, develop your speaking style, all that kind of stuff. A lot of it comes down to what you put in your body beforehand as well. And
Okay.
So how does that sound as kind of three parts to jump into?
I love it. Let's do it.
Cool. So the warm-ups is the first part. The warm-up is something you do ahead of time, like before you jump into recording. And this is where I'm going to sound like a lunatic because I have to do all sorts of weird noises to demonstrate this to you. So this is always good fun. Sometimes have to do this on live broadcasts, but I'm going to make you do it as well so that you will sound like idiots together. And now there's kind of four parts to this. First is your face. So face is a big part of it. And then you've got the voice itself. I suppose you could talk about that as kind of articulation, like how you say your words, all that kind of thing. And then you've got your range, which is another part of your voice. That's the dynamic range, the low parts and high parts. And the part that makes you not sound monotone. Like monotone, you always think of a monotone voice as I'm just talking like this and it's a bit boring and unemotional. So you want to try and bring range in as well, which we can talk about. And then you've got just all around your whole body. So within the warm-ups, there's kind of four parts to that. So with the face, what parts of the face do you think are involved in speaking? What parts do we have to worry about?
Definitely lips.
Yep.
Definitely lips. That makes sense.
Sure.
Well, actually, do we count tongue inside your mouth?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Jaw. If you're moving your jaw up and down. And then I guess it's like, I don't know. Like it's almost like your whole, like even your eyebrows move a bit when you speak, you know?
Yep, definitely. Yeah. So there's different things you can get for all of them. So lips are interesting up front. So a big thing to do is to loosen up your lips first. This is kind of the minimum I do because I find when I'm speaking, if I'm tripping over my words, it's because I feel my lips aren't moving fast enough. And almost that's a big part of enunciating your words as well. Like, what you can do is you do your vowels. So if you do a as the A, so and that's kind of a big wide noise. Your mouth gets really wide. You're going and then you go to, what order is it? I'm going to forget my order of my vowels here. E. So E is more like a wide mouth. E. So A's big, and E is wide. E, and then O is little, stretching your lips out forward. O.
Oh,
and then is even further that way. A-E-I-O-U. And I missed out either, didn't I? It's really just the kind of, you've got big for A, wide for E, and the U. That really covers all the shapes. You've got big, wide, and kind of sticking out your lips.
Yeah,
So
I can feel the stretch. And
you can feel them stretch. So before I record, the minimum I tend to do, actually there's one of them and I do, but we'll come to them. But one of the minimum ones I do is always that. I always go, ayo, ayo, and it kind of moves your mouth around and it starts to bring in your jaw as well. So that's one. So that's kind of loosening up your lips and stuff. You mentioned tongue there. Tongue is the one, it's like, we're good because we're Scottish, so we can roll our R's very well. Other people struggle with this, but that's a good one to do, just to go, rrr, rrr, and you hear that. It's funny, a lot of these people will know because they'll have seen them in movies and stuff, like people kind of piss taking being an actor or an actress, like people doing these. So the tongue one's quite good as well. I don't do that very often, actually. I don't find that's a problem for me, but I think it works for some people. Jaw, the next one, is a funny one because I find sometimes when I'm speaking, you can almost feel like your jaw is quite stiff as well, like right at the back. So sometimes it's good just to stretch like that and just feel like that's kind of loosening up your face a bit as well. I know this is good. Becca's going to have fun with the clips here.
Yeah. Okay.
So we've got all the shapes there. You've got the E-O-I-O-U in the lips. You've got the tongue like curling all over the place. And then you've got the jaw just stretching it out. And all of that kind of comes into, you mentioned it as well, like whole face. All of it comes into, I think it kind of ties in at the end. If you want to do the full thing, just actually really exaggerated speech, which makes you sound like a right idiot.
Everything you say.
Everything you exaggerate the sound of your mouth.
Okay.
And that can be a little short exercise. You can do all of that in just 60 seconds, 120, like 1 or 2 minutes. And that actually, I do the lips one, like I say. I usually miss the tongue one, maybe do a couple of quick jaw flexes before I record. Worth noting, if I'm doing something on stage and I know that there's no retakes here, this is all live, I do quite a lot of this. Like I'll do 5 or 10 minutes of this beforehand.
Right.
And you'll often see, you can feel like this is exaggeration. You can feel like it's over the top, but you often see people in the green room or, if somebody's done a lot of it, you'll often see them spending like 10, 15 minutes doing this kind of stuff beforehand. So it does happen. It's not just for kind of theoretical. So that's the face. That means your face is all loose. You're like, who's it? Jim Carrey? Jim Carrey with his loose face all over the place. Can you feel the difference there? Like any of that at all?
Yeah, particularly in the jaw, actually. And then the lips actually felt the stretching as I was doing it. It's quite bizarre. I think certainly next episode I do, I'll try and go through all of those things.
Try it out.
Yeah. We'll see what difference it makes.
Cool. Yeah, perfect. Okay, voice. So voice is more about well, actually, no, I won't put voice. I've written voice in my notes here, but this is more articulation. So it's like getting your words right, being able to pronounce things very articulately, enunciation, so that people can actually understand the words. And I think this is the one you said in your notes, like you feel like you kind of flub words together.
Yeah. I never realized I did it as well until I heard myself back. So
it's nothing like editing to make you feel like an idiot from a vocal point of view. But it's difficult because when you're talking to your pals, you kind of just go for it. You're just speaking. You're speaking fast because you're excited, and you end up doing that on a podcast as well. So it's almost like, I mean, we'll come to that in the enunciation part. I'll talk about that next. But you do have to slow yourself down sometimes.
Yeah.
But articulation, a lot of that is around tongue twisters. So this is when those tongue twisters come in that you often see people do. And it sounds silly. Again, it's a wee kind of game you might play with your kids, but it makes a big difference. Just doing a few of them and picking out some of the right kind of sounds. So Peter Piper is always a good one. Get your P's in. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers.
I don't even know if I know all the words to that.
Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers.
Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers.
That's the one. Yeah. So you do that 5, 6, 7 times. Try and do it fast.
Okay.
And then you've got the lists are quite often hard. So you've got red leather, yellow leather, red, yellow. I see, I can't remember that. Red leather, yellow leather, red leather, yellow leather.
Okay. Red leather, yellow leather, red leather, yellow leather. Wow, that was hard.
Yeah, it is.
That must be a Scottish thing.
Red lorry as well. Red lorry, yellow lorry. That brings in the R's. And one that does a few actually is the one you often hear, kind of stereotypical one, is a proper cup of coffee from a proper coffee pot. a proper cup of coffee from a proper copper coffee.
Quality content.
Let's do it slow first. A proper cup of coffee from a proper coffee pot. And then you try and speed it up a wee bit.
Proper cup of coffee from a proper copper coffee pot.
That's the one. First time.
Go. I totally didn't practice before.
Yeah. And there's exactly. And there's tons of these around. Like you can look up tongue twisters for vocal warm-ups. Vocal warm-up tongue twister on Google, or we'll put some in the description for the video too. But there's loads of these around. So pick like 3, 4, 5 of them that cover different sounds, from P's to T's to L's to standard kind of vowel sounds generally, and even outside of that too. And that can help a lot. Something I used to do a lad in, it's maybe not applicable to all people, but I used to read a lot of Dr. Seuss to my kids, and there was one called now what was the name of the book? Was it Fox and Socks? I think it was, and that has just tongue twisters all the way through, and they're so much fun. I used to really enjoy them. And there was the Tweedle Beetles one, which I read like dozens of times, and it had all of the sounds in it. So I used to actually just read the Tweedle Beetle battle. It's like when Tweedle Beetles battle with a puddle and a poodle in a bottle and a puddle in a muddle, and there's all this kind of stuff, and you're like going on for it. It's good fun. So it's almost a little warm up, but it's actually quite good fun at the same time. So yeah, that's one too.
Okay.
All right. So we go from articulation. The other part of the voice is your range. So that's the up and down. That's from the low notes right up to the high notes. And this is a funny one because I have many times had comments from people, whether it's comments on the podcast or speaking on stage or something like that, about my voice and it being quite resonant. And it certainly never used to be. This is something I've developed in my voice, and it's probably not even there. It's not there sometimes. Like, I don't think it's probably there the same way just now because I didn't do this before we start speaking today. So I've broken my own rule here. But if you do good range warm up, it makes such a difference to those kind of low noises, those low sounds that you can get into your voice. And it makes you sound so much more like radio announcery. And all it is really, it's pretty simple. All you do is you start with a hum and you just go, and you just go up and down like a siren. And you do that maybe 5 or 10 times. And then you can start to do the vowels too. Just the hum on its own actually is effective. But if you want to do the vowels, you do ah. And you hear like the low bit of my voice there it's croaky.
Yeah. It's
quite croaky. But if I did that for like 5-10 times, that croakiness would start to smooth out.
Okay.
So that hum, then maybe the vowels, if you want to add it in, can make a big difference. Yeah.
Quick question. Have you got an idea why that works?
I have not a clue.
That seems nuts.
It's probably, I mean, I think it's probably just like warming up your muscles. Like if you're going for a run, if you start running from cold, everything feels really stiff. But as soon as you're warming up, it loosens off. It's like you warm up anything and it goes from kind of really hard and stiff to more flexible. And I think vocal cords are they muscles? They might be muscles. I'm not even sure. But they work in the same kind of way, as in they start off stiff and they warm up.
Okay.
So I think it's probably just that, to be honest.
Yeah. Okay.
And the vibrations, obviously, like the really low noises are your vocal cords vibrating in a low frequency, like slowly. So maybe they need more flexibility to be able to vibrate slowly, potentially, because it's kind of I don't know, you're not putting as much force through them to vibrate them slowly, I guess. Don't know, theorizing.
Yeah. Makes sense to me. I'll buy
And
it.
the final one there is, I got taught this at an acting class once, actually. It's apparently a way that choirs can sometimes warm up. Singers definitely use it quite often, but it's just a little song that actually sends you up and down the registers. And I'll probably forget the words here, but it goes, you can look them up. We'll put a link again in the description, but it was along the lines of, rose, 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 will I ever see thee wed? I marry that thou pass when thou art dead. That's dead, nice, macabre. But it's more about you can put any words to it, and it's more about the range that puts you through quite a bit of range. And you can start at lower if you want to get the lower register too. But you do that 5 or 10 times, and actually that's you moving up and down. Something really easy to do, and yeah, that makes a big difference too. So I do that quite often instead of the hums.
Okay, what one do you think works best for you?
I mean, the hum up and down is probably more effective, quicker, because it's like straight into it, up and down, all full range. And it's just if I've got a bit of time and I'm feeling singy, might break out a song.
Nice.
And final part of the warm up side of things is just actually your whole body. Like, does it make sense to you that if you are tense in your body, that kind of affects your voice?
Yep.
It kind of, like if you're hunched over, there's something around your posture as well. There's a big part of it around your posture. Like if you're all hunched over, your diaphragm can't move half as freely. You've not got as much space in your lungs. But even if you just sit up in your chair, better posture suddenly opens everything up. It opens up your vocal cords, your throat, all that kind of stuff. And it maybe even just has an effect on your mood. You're more upbeat, you're more excited. And I sometimes, certainly if I'm going on stage, I will kind of do a little, I'll make sure I'm not sitting down and then just stand up and walk on stage. I'll be walking around a bit. I'll be kind of moving my arms around. I'll just loosen up my body a bit. And I do know some people that have like proper kind of set routines that they go through for this. So again, you could probably look up little kind of just simple warm-ups. You're not warming up for a run here, but just like a little, wave your arms around, do a little run on the spot, or, just walk up and down a little bit. I think that can make a big difference. And have you tried yet recording standing up?
So the first time I ever did anything live, I did it standing up. So I did a webinar about podcasting for business, I think it was.
Yes.
And I did it standing up. I used your standing desk that we have in the office, and it was fantastic. It was so much better.
Yeah.
It makes a big difference.
It's weird, actually, isn't it? Because I think it's all of those things I mentioned. So posture, standing up, your posture generally is always better, opens you right up. It puts more energy in you because you're not just like sitting there like slouching back. So you're just a bit more energized. And yeah, I think all of that combines to make you generally sound a little bit more upbeat and put a bit more motivation into your voice. So I think they all make a difference. So that's all the warm up. That's all the stuff you would do beforehand, I would suggest.
Okay.
So
that's a really good toolkit, really, to actually work through, and just maybe just try a few things and see what works and what difference it makes, or even just actually try and record some stuff, just not even to publish, just so I can kind of see the difference and figure out, what can I do in 2 or 3 minutes before I record that's gonna actually make me feel like I'm making a difference.
Yeah, cool, perfect. Yeah, I think that's the key, isn't it? Like when it comes to something to do with your body, something to do with your mood, your mind, all that kind of stuff, everything's quite personal. So you'll find things that work for you, things that don't. But that's a big range of stuff. And like I said, I do not go through all of this every single time for your average recording. I did absolutely nothing today because I've just come off a call with somebody else. But generally, if I do nothing else, I'll do the lips. Just move my lips around, my mouth around. In fact, you've probably seen me do that on calls with you on the camera. Sometimes I get on the call and then I start doing it. look like I'm going crazy. And I'll do that and the hum. Yeah, exactly. And that and the hum. That does the job. So yeah, that's a wee kind of toolkit for warming up.
Love it. Thank you so much.
No worries. So the second one The enunciation, this is one that I've definitely not mastered yet, but it's worth mentioning because it was something that I got at another speaking coaching session that I went to this was the one delivered by the opera singer. And this was one that she gave me really personalized feedback around, and I tried to think about quite a lot. And it was specifically around what you mentioned, which was words mashing together and feeling like you're not making the greatest impact with your voice because either you're speaking a bit too fast or you're not making every word clear. You're not giving people time to process stuff as you're delivering it. So it's around, and I'm trying to think how to describe this. It's around you thinking about the vowels and enunciating the vowels, like pushing on the vowels when you're speaking. I just did it there actually without thinking, pushing on the vowels, like the oo is the vowel in there. So pushing on the vowels. And if you start to think about it, it took me a while to get my head around it, but I do a bit more now. When you speak fast and your words are kind of like tumbling out your mouth like this, mostly it's consonants because they're the ones that you kind of cut off. I think I'm no expert in this, but the way I've kind of theorized it in my own mind is they're the ones that you kind of, that separate the words, but the ones that fill up the words are the vowels, because the vowels, they're the ones that kind of fill up the space and extend the words and give you more space in everything that you're talking about. And you can exaggerate it like this so that you can really hear the vowels, and that sounds silly, but
it works.
You can get a middle ground that you're not enunciating them quite as much, but you're slowing down your words and you're really thinking about one or two of the vowels in each word. And you run out of breath because you forget to breathe halfway through it. And of course, I'm exaggerating it all just now to try and emphasize, but it is something that I think about a lot now, and I try and do more. And when I feel myself speeding up and speaking a bit too quickly, I do try and concentrate on that a little bit more, try and extend out the... Totally. As soon as you start speaking about this, you get really conscious about how you're speaking. But it does. It makes a difference. Does that? So I've tried to explain something explained to me by an expert voice person in the past. What do you think?
I think it makes sense, and I can hear the difference when you're doing it, but I guess I actually just need to do it.
Try it. Yeah, that's it. Exactly. Yeah. I think it's just about trying to, maybe just reading out a page of a book or a script or something and seeing if it kind of makes sense to you. So yeah, worth thinking about that. That's definitely an enunciation thing that I think helps with Scottish people in particular, because we do tend to mash our words together pretty well.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Final one, eating and drinking. Do you think about what you put in yourself before you get on the mic?
No, not at all, actually. I'm a coffee and water drinker throughout the day, and I don't think I change that around when I'm recording.
Yeah. So this is the devastating one. You'll get told by every single person that knows anything about voice and vocals that you should never drink coffee before you speak.
Oh, because how close? How close to one to speak?
Like I don't know, within half an hour. Certainly, like close, or certainly during it. And I do not stick to this rule all the time by any means. But the theory is that your voice will be at its utmost. It'll be at its peak performance when you are well hydrated. You're nice and moist inside. And caffeine in general dries you out. Essentially, it's a diuretic, so it draws the water out of your body and pushes it out the other end. It makes you go and pee. So try and stay away from the coffee. There's also I've heard people say, and I'm not sure how much science there is behind this, but that coffee also obviously it kind of raises your heart rate, it gets you going. It's a stimulant, so that can kind of make you more tense as well. So, and that can lead into your vocal cords, it can lead into your posture, all of which ties into that stuff we were talking about earlier a little bit too. So that's one of the devastating ones. So drink more water and less coffee close to recording if you can. The other liquid, which classically you need to try and avoid, is dairy. So can you be found at your desk before recording with milk in hand?
No, maybe a little bit of my coffee, but what? What's that all about?
Well, dairy is for a lot of people, it's quite how to say this delicately, creates mucus.
Okay.
It kind of bungs you up. It makes the body develop more mucus, which obviously is plenty of that in your sinuses and your mouth and your throat, all that kind of stuff. So it can lead to clearing your throat much more often. And certainly it affects me that way. I know that. I noticed that.
Yeah.
It won't be the same for everyone.
Never thought about it. Never even stopped to think about it. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So if you do have coffee, maybe take the milk out of it.
Yeah. Okay.
And a final one before we tie up is eating. So one of the big issues that people often have during recording is more mouth noises than average. You've got clicking and all that kind of stuff. And usually that's to do with, again, it's dryness, dry mouth often. And so drinking your water, all that's good. But actually, some people argue that drinking too much water can kind of almost dry your mouth out because it takes away all the natural moisture, the saliva, all that kind of stuff. But a way to bring that back, or a way to encourage that, is by eating something slightly sour or slightly tart. And a green apple is the one that people often talk about. So if you take a bite of a green apple, that can often get your juices flowing, essentially, and cut down a bit on the mouth noises.
Okay, I like it. I quite like green apples, so that works for me.
Good stuff. So take away that coffee, add in a green apple, and you'll be all good.
Yeah, I don't know if that's a good trade deal though, but okay, we'll try it.
No, it's a terrible trade. It's an awful trade, but
yeah. Okay,
cool. So that's all voices and stuff. So next time you'll be sounding amazing, hopefully.
Hopefully, yeah. Well, thanks very much, because it was kind of painful listening back to the last one. I have to fix it. So yeah, I'll implement that and I will report back and I'll let you listen to it and you can tell me what you think.
Perfect. All right. Cheers.
Okay. Thanks, Colin.